So I get emails all the time. We get phone calls, we get emails, and I travel around and I hear people all the time hit me with, man, there's just nobody in my area to train with. Or man, there's no SIOC in my area. There's no JKD instructors in my town. Or man, the closest JKD instructor is 30 minutes on the other side of town. So, and they want to know what to do about that. Well, I'll tell you what to do about it. Suck it up and go train, right? So I grew up in a town of 1,000 people in Arkansas, little bitty town. Shout out to Mansfield, Arkansas. There was no martial arts anywhere around, right? I lived like 5 miles from town. 2 of them were a dirt road. There were no martial arts in town. The closest city was about 40 miles away, and it had the closest martial arts school. But that didn't stop me, right? So I talked to people. I convinced somebody to come to our town and teach a couple nights a week. And by the time I was 16 years old, I gathered enough students of my own, collected the money, rented a building, and then drove the 40 miles and hired a martial arts instructor at 16. I was a green belt in Taekwondo from the previous guy. And at 16 years old, I owned my own martial arts school and hired a second-degree black belt to come work for me and teach martial arts classes. So if you want it, you can go get it, right? If you want it, you'll make the sacrifices that it takes to go get it and go train. I lived in Arkansas. I wanted to study under a guy named Terry Gibson because he trained directly under Dan Inosanto. He had access and information. He had these arts that I really wanted to learn. I'd read so much about Guru Dan. I had read his books. I read his articles. I was a huge fan. I believed that's the direction I wanted to go. And so I met Terry Gibson at a seminar and got his card, started calling him, started talking to him, made a relationship. And then eventually I got the opportunity to go take private lessons. I would drive up there. I would save up for a whole month so that I could have enough money to drive up there, take a couple hours worth of private lessons, and then come back. And then I would train everything we had worked on for a solid month, make sure I was really good at it. And then the next month I would go back, show it to him, and do it again. And I did that for years until eventually he hired me to work at his academy and to help run his academy and teach at his martial arts school. So it wasn't an easy path. It was actually extremely difficult. I was very poor at the time. I had no financial stability. I had no idea, no plan, no hope for financial stability. I figured that I was going to be broke the rest of my life, that I was going to live a very poverty-stricken lifestyle. But as long as I got to do what I wanted to do, as long as I got to do martial arts and be a part of that world, that it was okay. So I made an enormous amount of sacrifices during that time just to be able to train, just to be able to come up and learn these martial arts. So as people are out there and they're talking and whining and complaining that it's not close enough or it's not in their area, I want to slap them in the face and say, hey, wake up. This is not supposed to be something you go buy at Walmart, right? These arts, these people are very unique. They're very precious in the eyes of the people who hold those arts, the gatekeepers who make sure that these arts get taught to the right people in the right way. They take that stuff very seriously. So it takes a certain amount of work and sacrifice on the student's part, right? It's not the Y where you just walk in and you pay your $20 and then somebody gives you your belt. So when you're out there doing those things, consider those options, right? Like when I wanted to study Sayat Kali, there was really only one place in the world that taught Sayat Kali, and that was Tuhon in Philadelphia. I lived in Texas, right? My other instructor, Dan Inosanto, lives in Los Angeles. At the time, my other instructor, Grandmaster Tony Samara, lived in Stockton, California. So no one was close to me. And people say, well, yeah, but you got this nice, successful martial arts school. But it wasn't that way at that time. During that time, when I started training with Tuhon, Chris Sayok and Grandmaster Tony Samara, my wife and I lived in our martial arts school. We lived in a tiny little room, me, her, and our Great Dane. We could barely afford to go out to eat. In fact, we couldn't go out to eat. We would go out and get one meal and bring it back and share it, right? Everything we cooked on a hot plate and microwave oven. So we weren't successful. We didn't have it easy. But I wanted these arts, and I realized the value of them, and I was willing to make the sacrifices it took to go learn them. And then when I came home, I made training partners, right? Because that's what you got to do if you really want to train martial arts. You know, I'm convinced that the number one reason why people teach martial arts is because they need training partners. So I got to have somebody to punch at me and kick at me and hit me with a stick. So I got to start training guys and doing that. So if you want to do martial arts, if you want to study a martial arts, it doesn't really matter what martial art now. We're in the best time for martial arts that we've ever had. Now we have the internet, we have videos, we have DVD, we have seminars all over the world. You can study any art that you want, and you can study directly under the head of the system if you're willing to make the sacrifices that it takes to do that. So consider those things in your life. Think about how much you really want something. And if you want it, if it's really important to you, you'll go get it. You won't let something like not being close to you or I don't have the money. You'll find a way. You'll find a way to make it happen just like I did. And I'm not special, right? I'm not smarter than anybody else. I'm not more talented than anybody else. I'm just willing to do the work, and I'm willing to make the sacrifices to get the information and do the training.